the last couple of years, really since 2016, progressives have had a lot of momentum when it comes to Medicare for All, and I think that we've been very explicit and forward with Democrats and anyone who wants to run in 2020 for president in letting them know that if they don't back Medicare for All, they're not going to make it past Iowa. We will not support them at all. And in the event they end up winning the nomination without backing Medicare for All, then good luck exciting the base, because this is something that 70% of the American people support now. Nearly 9 out of 10 Democrats support it. So if you can't back that, then you are useless to us. And I feel as if we've been very successful at getting this message across until recently, when a dipshit named Howard Schultz showed up and started talking about the impracticality of Medicare for All. And now all of a sudden we have other Democrats who are getting a little bit more bold and saying, you know, I kind of agree that Medicare for All is impractical. We had Sherrod Brown come out and say he doesn't support it because it's not practical. We have Amy Klobuchar running for president who isn't going to support it. And we have a number of other Democrats who have explicitly stated that they support Medicare for All, like Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, and Cory Booker, all say that, you know, maybe they're open to multiple paths, maybe they're open to a half measure. So they're all getting cold feet. But in an interview with Chuck Todd on Meet the Press on MSNBC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was asked to give her input here, and she basically said everything we've all been screaming about for the past couple of years, and she said it in the most perfect way possible. Take a look.
Are there specific red lines for you? Medicare for All, do you have to say you'll do it, or is aspiring to it in the future enough for you?
So I think that we need commitments with teeth. So I don't want to be placated as a progressive. And I know that the progressive movement does not want to be placated in 2020. It's like,
but I guess what's the definition? So you have, for instance, Amy Klobuchar and Sherrod Brown, I think both are arguing they'd love Medicare for All, but they're like, it's not realistic. Let's fix Obamacare, or let's do Medicare 50, Medicare 55. Would that be a non-starter for you?
For me, I reject that outright. I reject the rationale.
Okay.
I reject the rationale of saying adopting the same insurance models or a similar insurance model to any other developed country in America is unrealistic. I reject that. I reject the idea that single payer is impossible. I reject the idea that universal health care is impossible. All of these things are possible. When we talk about what I want in a 2020 candidate, I want a 2020 candidate that says we can do these things. We can be audacious. I think we need, in order to overcome this moment, we need to return to our FDR roots as a party. That's what I believe.
And that right there is exactly why progressives love Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Because she just says it. She says what's on her mind. She says what we're all thinking. To suggest that Medicare for All, which is something that all the other modern industrialized countries have, is unrealistic, I reject that. And we all should reject that. Because when Sherrod Brown says, you know, I think that we should just opt for Medicare at 55, what he's saying is he doesn't have the courage to fight for something that would save lives. Medicare for 55, sure, that sounds, you know, fantastic, but what about people ages 27 to 54? Do they just die or go bankrupt if they don't have health insurance? So it's infuriating that they think that they're being the grown-ups by saying you can't have this because it's not practical, liberals. Well, it'll never be practical if all Democrats were like you and left us behind, but in actuality, it is practical. If we live in a representative republic, then fucking shut up and represent us. 70% of Americans support Medicare for All. So do it. That's basically what it comes down to, and AOC is saying that. I reject that outright, and I'm glad that she's saying it, because she has a lot of sway now in American politics, and they may not like what she has to say, but when she says something, it lands. Now, she also says, quote, when you talk about what I want in a 2020 candidate, I want a 2020 candidate that says we can do these things. We can be audacious. In order to overcome this moment, we need to return to our FDR roots as a party. And that is exactly it, because how do you expect to excite your own base if you are trying to pitch gradualism to them? Oh, I'm going to get in office and we'll do a couple of tweaks here and there to the system, but no fundamental reforms, No comprehensive reforms to healthcare or campaign finance. No ambitious climate change legislation. We'll just rejoin Paris and that's it. That's not going to resonate with people. We just tried taking the pragmatic approach in 2016. I don't have to tell you how that turned out. We have a reality show star as our president currently. So what AOC is saying here is so important because nobody says this. Nobody says this. She is one of the only people in Congress, besides Bernie, but I think she's even more bold than Bernie, in just saying what we're all thinking. We reject your pitch for these incrementalist solutions to problems that are really huge problems plaguing the American people. As my buddy Ron Placone says, that, you can't propose an incrementalist solution to a catastrophic problem. I probably butchered his quote, but you all know what I'm talking about. It's a phenomenal quote. So I love what AOC is saying here, and I love that mainstream media is basically forced to pay attention to her, because if they're forced to pay attention to her because she generates ratings, because she's popular, then guess who in turn will have to listen to her? The Democratic Party. And you can already see that they hate her, but good. Welcome their hatred, AOC, because you're doing the right thing and you have the American people behind you 100%.
You could support the Humanist Report at patreon.com/Humanist Report. But trust me, I'd have way more supporters on Patreon if that was my podcast. Sad.